So this is a demo video of my deer motif, and this is a lot of fun for those of you who love animals or like friends of ours who actually like to hunt. So this would make a good gift to frame up for the hunters in your life. So I'm taking this sand ridge. Looks like it had a little bear in it, so it's got a warmer tone to it, and I'm kind of going over these areas where I'm just picking where I'd like the white to go so that I can come back in here later and know not to go over those areas. So I'm leaving some around the nose here, and could do a lighter area in there. And then I'll come in here and do the same thing with the ear. And this could be pretty random. You can just make up some areas. You can leave some white of the paper, will be nice in here too. And then we'll just go and do this other antler. I use this color to begin with, so I'll put that equally over here. Need a little bit of water in my brush. These are very narrow points here, so you want to put your brush into the point and pull toward yourself so that you don't get it all over the place. And then I will come down here and do the same sort of thing where I'm filling in a back layer, leaving a little tiny couple places of white of the paper. That's a lot of pigment, so I'll take some of this pigment and move it around. Put in too much. You can kind of test out on your paper that I give you a little strip in your take and paint. Okay, so we've got our back layer in there, and then we'll want to work on top of that with this bear color in this woodland set or your brown. You can kind of test your own brown in your palette so that you can know whether it's kind of a yellow tone or if it has more blue in it, it'll have, or red, it'll look a little bit different. So you want to make sure that your brown is actually the kind of brown you want to use on a deer, and mix up your own and make enough so that you can come in here and get all the places you need to fill in. And we're coming across this nose kind of like with a line here. Might even do this a little bit darker because we're kind of putting a little bit of a shadow across there. And then go around that eye. And I'm leaving that light right there. Of course, this is just a reference, something that I found online, so it doesn't really matter exactly how you do these different shapes, because unless you start ruining the shape of the face where it doesn't actually look like a deer, you can put your lines wherever you want. Okay, so I'm going to go over here and do the same thing. I'm just grabbing lines within the antlers so that a little bit of it is brown, a little bit is that tan or sand ridge that we put down originally. And you can even be so detailed as to think about where the light source is. And I'm going to come in here and fill this in where the white of the paper was. Make sure those gaps are closed. And it's so tiny. Okay. So I've got those antlers in there. And then now I'll come in here and get around to the ear. So I've come along here. And then more brown right here at this bottom area and across here. There's a lot of the white of the paper in here, so I think I'll probably go back in after that dries a little bit and make sure to move that around. And let's get around this one. All right. And in here I have this as darker. Now, up here I have this place where I've kind of gone outside the lines right here. So I'm going to just lightly take a clear brush and just kind of go back and forth till it loosens up that pigment. I'm going to take white of my paper towel. Now you can see that it is gone. Okay, now I'm going to put this brown into his coat down here. I'm going to kind of go along this edge just to define this nicely. I'll do the brown right out of my box so that it's nice and pigmented. And then I'm just depositing a little bit here. I've got these little fine lines that if I follow that can kind of emulate more of a fur. And I'm going to put some brown across here. Just depositing that color. Now I can come in and sort of do some of the details here. And really, it doesn't have to be as detailed as this. You could kind of go over it and it'll look pretty good no matter what you do because the lines are in here. And I think the next thing to work on is just to get in there with the black, or we'll just clear our brush a little bit and sort of blend a little of these areas where there's white of the paper. So we don't want the bright white, but leaving the deposits there for the minerals. And over here, kind of just shaping that a little bit less stark lines. All right, now I'm going to go into this color called Shadow. Let's see. some black. And you want to practice doing really fine lines on your scrap piece of paper because these are tiny, tiny. So I'm following that line here, and you want to look really good because you have to leave a little bit of white in here or your deer will look blind. You can always go back in and add more black, but it's near impossible to come in later and take that out. So let me fill in this one so it looks similar. And I'm going to follow that line around. And now we've got this black going around here. I didn't leave any space, so I'm going to draw my own line in here to make sure to leave a little bit of white between this area and that area. I'm going to come in here and put a little bit of this shadow on top of that brown just to give it more depth. I'm going to deposit some paint where some of these lines are. I can even go in here at the bottom of some of these antlers. Okay, and then now I want to come in here and just sort of put a little bit of brown, kind of gray shadow. I'm going to leave that lighter so it stands out. And I'm going to take that clear brush and kind of run over some of those little markings so they blend together a little bit, but still leave some of the deposits. And then we're pretty much done with that other than a few little details, like maybe in here I want to come back and make those lines a little less visible. And then we have this outside. Now I have my gray as an example, but my friend who took this class with me, she did this wonderful green, and I thought, you know what, I'll just show you that you can kind of do your own thing and take a chance, and actually I loved it. Get so many great ideas from people that take my classes because every person has their own unique style and eye, and so that's really awesome. I get to meet so many awesome people. I love meeting people and getting to see everyone's unique style. I'll just have a group of 12 people doing the exact same motif at the same time with the same instruction, and they'll pick different colors and styles, and it's really super cool to see what people do. Sometimes the stuff looks crazy and I think this is not going to turn out good at all. I don't know what's going on, and at the end it's amazing. Sometimes it's crazy and it ends up crazy, but I love it that they did what they liked. And so I'm going to kind of come in here and add in a little bit of an edge. going to this is already wet, so I'm going to pull some of this pigment into my painting and avoid getting into my deer. See there, I kind of did it, so I'll have to clean that up in a minute. No big deal. Those two colors look okay together, so that's good. Let's see, and really want to just get this sort of loosened along this edge before it dries too much. I do not want a stark line there, so I really got to talking and not. Boy, that dried really fast. Okay. Ideally, you'd put that down and move it around quickly. So I think I'd put it down first before putting the light green down. Gotta remember how I do these things. In my other example, instead of green, it's gray, and that's what I did, is I put the lines in first, and I think I want to get it darker under here, and that is probably so dry that I'll never get that loosened up. And I did do some up here, and I didn't have a line drawn, so I'm going to kind of come in here, and you don't have to add this if you're scared to kind of freehand that. That way we don't have that stark line, but you do have to kind of use your own creative license there. And now that's super cool. I like it with the green. And then I did use gray in my original, so that's there too that you could do. And you can go in and do any more details that you'd like, but this is the basic of that.